Hello and welcome to Android Beginner Tutorial Series version 2022. In this series, we are going to start from basics and progress to more advanced topics. And along the way, we are going to build several applications that will help you learn and master Android. So the first thing which we want to do is install Android Studio so that we can start to write our code. Now you can navigate to this here website developer.android.com/studio and you can navigate to downloads here, and it's going to take you through this page here. And as you can see here, you can download here, and the current version is 2020.3.1. If you want more download options, you can click this button here, and it's going to take you to this page here where you can have different options to download. So for example, if you want to select these windows here, you can click, and you have to accept these terms and conditions, and then you can download this version of Android Studio. Now if you want to get the new version of Android Studio, there is a preview release of Android Studio which is going to give you early access to features and improvement in Android Studio. You can navigate to this developer.android.com/studio/preview, and as you can see here, the current version, which is almost stable, is the Android Studio Bumblebee, and currently I'm using Android Studio Bumblebee version 2020.1.1, which is in a release candidate. So you can just click this also, and you can accept this and download. So I have already installed, and this installer have everything bundled inside there. So what you have to do is just open the file, and then you follow the instruction for installation, and after that you are good to go. So I'm going to see you when you have finished to download this. Now when you finish to install Android Studio and open up for the first time, you are going to get a window similar to this one. It might be a little bit different, but you have to locate a button which is called Create New Project, and you can ignore other things. So if you click this button here, it's going to take you through the template window here where you have several templates to choose from and create your application. So there are several templates for different things here. For example, we have Wear OS, we have Android TV, automotive. So for our case, we are going to focus on phone and tablets. And here there are several templates which you want to select from. So for example, here you have something for Google Pay activity, you have full screen activities, and also we have here the empty compose activity. So Jetpack Compose, if you don't know about Jetpack Compose, is the modern UI toolkit which is designed to accelerate and design UI efficiently using Android. So we are going to use Kotlin here to design our UI and not using the old way, which was creating by using XML. Now throughout this series, we are going to focus using Jetpack Compose. Now after this one, when you select this empty compose activity, you can click this next here. And after this one here is going to take you through the customization of your page, and what you have here is passing the name of your application. So for the case here, we can write, for example, hello world. And here after that we have the place to pass in the package name, and this one is going to be a unique resource identifier when you want to upload, for example, to the Google Play Store. So you can change this to whatever you want, and you can change this anytime which you wish. Now for the case for your first time, it could be com.example.hello-world. So you can change, for example, com.anything. You can put your name there or your company name, and then after that you can put here the name of your application. And after that we have the place where we can save our application, and for my case here, I'm saving through Android Studio projects. So you can click this button here, and you can define anywhere which you want to put your projects. Now for my case, I'm going to leave as it is, and the languages, and we have said earlier, Jetpack Compose supports only Kotlin, so you cannot use Java to develop using Jetpack Compose. Now here also we have the minimum SDK, and this one is going to be the minimum version where your Android application is going to be supported or compatible with. So we have API 21, for example. So don't be tempted to select, for example, here API 30 or API 32, because this one is going to run almost only on 24.3%. So if we select here Android 12, it's going to run on less than 1%. So you don't want this. So what we are going to do, we are going to select here our API 21, which is just normal, and for that 98% is going to be supported. Now we can click here finish and build our application. Now when you finish to build your application, you're going to see the interface like this one, and it can be a little bit overwhelming for now. So we are going to go through the most important things, and you're going to get comfortable step by step. So here we have one file which is open up by default when you launch up Android Studio for the first time. We have here the main activity, and this main activity defines here our first code inside this file here, and we are going to see the code later in this video, but for now let's see the interface and familiarize ourselves. So the first thing which is open up here is the project tab. So when you toggle this on and off here, you're going to see the project here structure here, and here it contains all of the files inside our application. So as you can see here, there is a drop down here which has listed Android, and there are several ways to look at your packages or your folders. As you can see here, you can look at the project, and this way here you can see a lot of files which are not included by default when you come to this Android. And the basic way of using this when you're developing, just use this Android here. So for other purposes, when we are going to see later, we are going to use that project tab here. So for now, we are just going to stick up with this Android here. Now here you can see there are several packages which have been defined here. So we can collapse this first here, and when we open up here the manifest, we have an Android manifest.xml, and this is like a contract which the Android OS, when you launch your application to a phone, then this one, the Android OS is going to look for this file here, and then it's going to read up and understand the name of the application and also what is the activity, and this activity is going to be the launching activity. So like here we have said this is going to be the main activity, and then this one is going to be the launcher. Now we are going to speak about the code later, and for now just let's familiarize ourselves with everything which is here. Now also we have here the Java, and inside here Java we have 3 packages which have been listed here. These 2 packages are denoted by using under test or test, and these, as their name here, are for testing purposes. So when you want to test your code, so writing the test here is just a little bit advanced, so we are not going to see this right now here, but later we are going to see how we can write our test and test our code. And here we now have our place where we are going to write our code, and inside here we have a package which is UI.theme, and here we have our theme which are going to be defined here. We have color, shape, theme, and type. So we are going to see this later, and we can customize our application to suit our appearance which we want. So for now we can just collapse this. Okay, now also we can collapse this, and here we have another package which is denoted by res, and this is just a resource folder here, and it contains several files which we can use. And a resource is a place where you can keep your static images or static resources inside this package here. And there is a denoted tab here which is used to manage by using a graphical way. As you can see here, when you click this resource manager, it's going to take up you through this window here, and we have here, for example, drawables. So we can add here new drawables by clicking this button. We have colors here, we can just define and change them. Also we have the place for layout, and for our case here we are not going to use layouts, and here there is no layout available. And also we have mip maps here, so this one are going to be like icon launchers which we are going to use. For our case we are using just the default one, which is the Android robot. And here also we have the strings. So for example, if you want to define a strings, so here you could define several strings for different languages. So if you have English, Germany, and French, and Arabic, or other things, languages, you can define the screens here, and you can reflect them inside your code, and this is going to use them differently. So this is called localization, and we are going to see later in our videos. And also we have here navigation. So when you want to define navigation between different, for example, fragments, we are going to see what is a fragment and other things later in this video. So for now here we can just collapse our resource manager and come back here to our project tab. And inside here, our project tab here, we have another folder which has been denoted by Gradle scripts. And when you open up here, you have several files here which you can see. And the most important here, we have the build.gradle, and this one is denoted to project, and here we have build.gradle which is denoted to module app. And these 2 files here are going to define our dependencies and other configuration for our application. As you can see here, we are using several Android plugins here and libraries and Kotlins which are going to be defined inside here. And also we have another Gradle file here which is going to be our hello world module app. And as you can see, this file contains a lot of things here. For example, here you just have a basic configuration of your Android application here, just things like the minimum SDK, the compile SDK, and also the application ID, which you can also change them. But for now, we're just going to leave everything as is. Now, the most important thing also here is this block of code here which is denoted by dependencies, and here you're going to put up a lot of dependencies when you want to use your application. So for example, if you want to use Google Maps, you're going to put the Google Map dependency here and get the libraries or the files which you're going to use them inside your code. Okay, now we can close here our project, and also we have here several tabs down here, and these tabs here are basically used for debugging and seeing your application. So for example, if you want to inspect your application, or if you want to inspect your layout, and also here you're going to get the events. So for example, if you want to update Android Studio and other things, so you can find inside here. And if you have several problems during your building your application, so here you are, it's the place where you're going to see. So for example, here you're going to get the building problem. So for our case here, build has successfully finished to build, and also you have here the log cut. So when you launch your application here, you're going to have a log cut here, and then it's going to bring you a lot of information when your application is crashing and other things. So we're going to see this later in our videos. Now for that, we can just collapse here, and also when you come to the right hand side here, we have the device file explorer. And here, for example, if you connect your device here, so this acts like a file explorer, so you can just navigate between your devices. So if you have an emulator device, which we are going to see how we can create a new emulator device, and here we have emulator. So when we are going to have an emulator, we can launch it here and we can view our application. Now we can just collapse this also, and also here we have the device manager. So with the device manager here, we can create a new device here, for example, a virtual device, so emulator here. So for our case, as you can see here, we don't have any device, or you can insert here a new physical device. So for now, let's create first a virtual device, then I'm going to show you how you can connect a physical device if you have one. Now let's come here and create a new device, and here it's going to bring us to the virtual device configuration here, and you can select any configuration category which you want. For our case, we are going just to select here phone, and we can select this Pixel 5. It's just enough here. Now we can click next, and here we have to select the system image. Now let's refresh here and load the images. And as you can see here, we have several images which we can download here from several APIs until API 32. So for my case, I'm just going to select this API 30. It's just enough for this. Okay, now it's going to download here. As you can see, it's going to be 620 MBs. So it's going to take some time. I'm going to show you when it's finished to download this. So now the download is finished, and now we can click here, finish. Now after that, we can select here what we have downloaded here. So if you want another image, you can just download here. So for our case, we are going just to select this which we have downloaded here, and we can click next here. Now here we have several things which you can customize, for example the AVD name, and here we can provide other things which you can change. So if you want our startup orientation to be landscape, you can just change it here, but I'm going to leave it as is. And also there are things which you can just define here. And for example, here we have the advanced settings here. So for example, here we are getting the selected skin is not large enough to view the entire screen. So for example, here we can come here to this device frame here, and this is because here we're using this pixel screen. So you can just come here to select no screen here, and if you want, you can just enable here the device frame. For example, if you want to see also the device frame here, and so you can change other things which you want to change them here. So I'm going to leave this as is, because here we have the press to define the RAM here, the heap memory, and other things which you want to define. Now for our case here, we're going to leave this as is, and now we can collapse here. Now for that case here, we can click finish, and it's going to create our virtual device. Now for our case here, our virtual device is ready. Now let's try to launch our device for the first time, and as you can see here, it has given us Pixels 5, and let's try to run this emulator so that we can get our emulator starting. Okay, now our emulator is ready and running. So if you want to dock it, you can just come to here settings, and you can come to view mode, and you can change here whatever you want. So for my case, I'm going to leave it here. Now you can try to run the application here, but for now, let's familiarize ourselves with the code. Now the good part is coming, so let's start with the code here. Okay, now let's start here the exciting part. So we are going to explain this code through step by step here so that you can understand them. What we have here, we have the main activity, and this main activity inherits from the component activity. So basically here we want to access the Android framework, so we have to inherit from this method here, component activity. So, and this one is going to give us the default constructor so that we can start our application. So without this, it's just a generic class, a normal Kotlin class. So for that case here, we have a way which we can override several methods, and this method here are called lifecycle methods, and we are going to talk more about this lifecycle method later in these videos. So what we have here, we have the thing which is called saved instant state here. So we are going to talk about this saved instant state later in the videos so that you can just save the states. So for now it can confuse you, but what we have here is just a method which is going to be passed here when you want to save the state. So for example, if you have a counter app and you want to save a temporal state when the Android process creates this process, so that you can reinitialize or instantiate that item, for example. Now for here, we have to pass in this method here and call the super method so that it can create our application. Now for that case, we have finished with that. Now we have here a method which is called set content, and as the method denotes here, we want to compose the given composable into the given activity. What this means that it's going to take the composables which we have defined, and for this case here is just a set of screens which we have, or UI elements which we want to show up inside the screen, and then it's going to attach them and create a UI tree. So we are going to have a UI tree which composes several components or UI elements that are going to be displayed inside the screen. So this is just the set content here. So for example, here we have a simple composable one function, and this function here is going to be called inside here. So the compose compiler here is going to create the UI tree, and then it's going to render them in the screen here by showing first the surface here, and then it's going to show up this screen here. Now after that, this set content here, we have a method here which is called the hello world theme, and this is just a theme. So if you press here Ctrl B, you can go to a place where it is defined, and when you see something which is denoted by @composable, you know this is a composable function. And a composable function has the first name here as a capital letter so that we can differentiate with other Kotlin functions. So here we have a composable function, and this composable function which is called hello world theme, and it's going to be different if you have created a different name here, but you can rename to whatever which you want. So we're going to leave this as is, and you can see here we have, so as you can see here we have two parameters which have been passed here, and this parameter here is called dark theme, and this one is a boolean type, and this one is going to check if this system is going to be a dark theme or a light theme, and it's going to write true or false. So if it's not going to be dark theme, then it's going to return false. And here we have a content, and this content here is denoted by a lambda function, and here what we have here is a type, and here we have a return type. So here we have a composable type, and we want to return a unit, and this one here we can call the composable when we go back to the main activity. So for example here, as you can see here, we are using a trailing lambda syntax here to use this, and this one is just what is the content here. So when you have here a parameter, for example here a lambda function parameter which is going to be last here inside a certain composable or a certain function, you can just use a trailing lambda syntax. And here we are checking, for example here we are checking if this one is going to be dark theme, then we return a dark color palette, and if not, we are going to return a light color palette. In that case here we are using here a material theme class, and we want to pass in here our parameters. So this is just the function here which we are getting here, hello world theme. So we are going to see this later in the videos so that you can customize, for example, your theme. So for now we are just going to leave as is. And also we have here a surface. So as you can see here, they have given us a comment here which is going to be using a container, the background color from the theme. So what we are going to do here, it's just a container which is going to give us a color. So a surface is just like a container, as this comment states here, which is going to contain here our composables so that we can define, for example, background colors and other things. And here there are two parameters which have been passed. We have a modifier here. So the modifier, when you'll see a lot this in composables. So a modifier is something which is going to modify the UI element behavior. So for example, here we have our UI element which is a surface, and we want to pass in here a modifier. And what we want to do, we want to modify the behavior of this surface to fill the max size. size, and here we are passing this modifier and then we fill the max size. So you're going to see a lot of this later in the videos. And also what we want to do, we have to pass in here the color, and here we are using the material themes and accessing the color and passing the background color here. So for that case here we have finished to create our background color. And other thing, as you can see here, we are going to use this curly braces, and we can pass in here our composable, which is greeting, and here we are passing 100. So let's see this function here, and it's been defined down here. And what we have here, we have a composable function, and as you can see, to use any composable function you have to annotate with @composable and pass in here the function and pass in the name of the functions. Now what we have here, we have the text, and this text here is just like a UI element that is used to display a text. So if you press here Ctrl Q, you can see that this is the high level element that displays text and provides semantics and accessibility to informations. So what we have here, we have a place where we can pass in the text and we can pass in the information of this text here, and we are going to see how we can customize this later in the videos. And we have another function here, and this function here is called a preview function, and this preview function here help us to preview our composables. So if we create a set of composables and we want to preview them instantly, we can use this here default preview and we pass in here our composables. And if you want to preview now, you can see here there are several tabs which we have. So you can click this, for example, split here, and then this one is going to show you here a preview. So if you don't have this, you can just press here build, or you can come to this and press this build refresh here, and then it's going to show you here. So as you can see here, we can just increase this, and here it has passed hello 100, and this just takes up here the word which has been passed here. So we can just modify this and pass in here hello world. Now we can come here and we can press this refresh here, then it's going to build up here and show us the output. Okay, so we have modified here because here we have to launch our application. What we can come here, we can come here to this default preview here, and you can come and change this. For example, here it has written 100, so here you can write hello world, and you can see instantly here it's going to update. And for that case, if it's not updating, you can just press this button here and then it's going to refresh your preview. Now for that case here, we have finished to explain our code. Now what we can do now, let's try to run our application in a emulator device. Then I'm going to show you how you can run it inside a device, actual device, if you have one. So let's just click here this button here, and this button is going to show us run app, and we can click this. Then now it's going to start to build the application, then it's going to launch inside an emulator. Okay, now the app is launched successfully, and you can see here inside the emulator hello world. Congratulations for creating your first application, because that was a lot to take in for the first time. Now what we can do here, now we can try to run inside a real device. So I'm going to show you how you can configure a device so that you can easily run the Android applications. So in order to make your phone recognized by Android Studio, what you have to do, you have to make your phone an Android developer. So you can come here to enable developer options. So you can search, for example, here for about, and here it's going to take you from this about phone here. And what you can do here, there is something which is called build number here, so you can locate, and this can be different from different phone manufacturers. So from my case here, it's just up here. So what you have to do, you have to click this 7 times, and because I have already created here my developer options, it's telling me no need, you are already a developer. So press this 7 times until you get this message here. Now after that, there you can just click back here. Okay, now we can just scroll down here, we can find a new option which we have here, which is called the developer options. Now here you have to enable this to be true here, the developer options, and also you can just toggle here on and off. And what you have to do here is toggle on the USB debugging, and here it's going to ask you, for example, to connect with your device here, and For example, here you can revoke USB debugging authorization if you have any problems, and this can be different from different phone manufacturers, so you have just to look at this and then you can try to recognize here. So for our case here, our app is already recognized here, so if not, you can just come here and you can come to troubleshoot device connection, and here it's going to log the assistant, and for example here it has already found my devices, so you can just rescan here and it has detected here my device, for example, and you can click next, and here it is giving you here some things which you have to enable. As you can see here, it's giving you a little bit of something, so you can just follow also this tutorial here and you are just good to go, and that you can finish, or you can restart your ADB server and then you can just finish here. Now for that case here, let's try and run our application inside our phone and see the output. Okay, now we have managed to launch our application inside our really device here. So as you can see here, we have the hello world. So guys, let's leave it here for this video. So if you find this video helpful, please provide a like and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to never miss any future videos on this series. So bye bye for now. See you in the next video. Thank you.